I'm Dan Twining. I'm president of IRI here in Washington.
And I'm Jan Surotchak. I'm the senior director for Transatlantic strategy here at IRI.
The Russian Navy assaulted Ukrainian ships in waters that are not owned by Russia over the weekend. Ukraine has declared 30 days of martial law to protect itself, to allow the country to mobilize its armed forces. The president took that decision to Parliament. Parliament voted overwhelmingly in favor of this declaration. And the idea is to enable Ukraine to deploy its military assets to safeguard its country against this Russian assault on Ukraine's democracy. This is a very limited declaration of martial law, voted for by the parliament for only 30 days. The Ukrainian election is in about 4 months, on March 31st. So let's see what happens. Russia's intention, the Kremlin's intention certainly is to assault and weaken and subvert Ukrainian democracy. So part of the trick for Ukraine's leaders will not be to overreact to the Russian aggression in ways that undermine Ukraine's democratic integrity.
We have to be much stronger and much more unified in the way we have addressed what's happened so far. And this, I think, is the classic example of the need for American leadership. If left to their own devices, I'm afraid that our European friends and allies will not find a center of gravity to be able to respond. So we need strong leadership from Washington. There's been good statements from Secretary Pompeo, from Ambassador Haley at the United Nations, but the United States needs to engage very actively to make sure that Europe responds with us in a coordinated fashion on such questions as sanctioning the Nord Stream 2 project, expanding sanctions on the banking sector or the petrochemical sector, other potential sanctions that could be put in place together cooperatively between the U.S. and Europe. I think it's very clear that Russia's strategic objective here is to prove somehow that Ukrainian democracy is dysfunctional, it does not work, it can't deliver for the Ukrainian people. Whether it's through the annexation of Crimea or the aggression in the Donbass or the other activities that the Russian Federation has taken to try to demonstrate that the government in Kiev is somehow unable to meet the needs of the Ukrainian people. Russia cannot tolerate functional democracies on its border. This is why it has behaved in the past the way it's behaved in Georgia, why it's behaving the way it behaves now in Ukraine. Moreover, there's a further Russian strategic objective to undermine the European Union and NATO and to demonstrate that neither of those organizations would be able to come to the defense of Ukraine, which makes it all the more important that there be a coordinated response in the transatlantic community with the European Union and the United States and NATO in response to this crisis.